Good afternoon, friends. Good morning, good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome to the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program. I am Pharmacist Ben, sitting in for Dr. Wallach today. Thank you so much for joining us on the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program. We'll take your phone calls here at the bottom of the hour or in a little bit, as we always do, on Dead Doctors Don't Lie, 831-685-1080. 831-685-1080 is your priority line number, or you can call us toll-free, 888-379-2552, 888-379-2552 if you've got questions about medications, supplements, the Youngevity products, or if you just have a comment, or if you want to share a success story. We love hearing success stories. We want to hear from you. 831-685-1080 is your priority line number, 888-379-2552, toll-free. I am Pharmacist Ben, nutritional pharmacist from Boulder, Colorado. I use nutritional supplements in my practice, don't like pharmaceutical drugs, never liked pharmaceutical drugs, never understood how the logic of using pharmaceutical drugs, how anybody could think that toxic pharmaceutical drugs could heal the body in any way. They don't, and that's why I use nutrition and nutritional supplementation in my practice. I thought we'd start the program off today talking about fats. Good fats, that is. Good fats have been in the news. Cover of Time magazine maybe a month ago or so. Had a big cover that said, eat butter. Eat fat, basically, and there's a lot of literature now out supporting the idea of eating more fat. Dr. Wallach, of course, has been talking about that for a long time. I want to talk today specifically about a kind of fat called essential fatty acids. We call them the ultimate essential fatty acids. There's two of them, two ultimate essential fatty acids, omega-3s and omega-6s. They're said to be essential fats or essential fatty acids. They're part of the Healthy Start Pack, and we call them the ultimate EFAs. You can think of the ultimate EFAs as a beauty supplement because they're wonderful skin health effects. But the benefits of Youngevity's ultimate EFAs are way more than skin deep. If you have blood sugar problems or insulin resistance issues, diabetes or pre-diabetes, at least 1 out of 3 Americans have these kinds of problems, your need for the ultimate EFAs goes up. Same with folks who are drinking alcohol, and deficiencies in essential fatty acids are most certainly a problem if you're dealing with chronic intestinal issues, digestive problems, Crohn's disease, celiac disease, or leaky gut syndrome. If you're experiencing a problem breaking down or digesting or absorbing proteins, if you're experiencing a problem with accelerated wrinkling or skin aging or osteoporosis, or if you're trying to build muscle, there's a very important relationship between essential fatty acids and protein metabolism. And as far as your heart goes, there's a huge amount of evidence that suggests that omega-3 essential fatty acids are associated with a decrease in the risks for cardiovascular disease. The ultimate essential fatty acids are highly electrical. When they're fresh and they're pure, they carry a tremendously important electrical cloud with them, and the body can stash these electrically active essential fatty acids in the outside coating of a cell. It's called the cell membrane, and this contributes to the electrical energy of a cell. The membrane, the outside part of a cell, the cell membrane, determines how everything inside a cell is going to function, and the structure and the shape of this cell membrane is super, super important and very dependent on the ultimate essential fatty acids. Keep in mind now, you can't make these things. The body cannot make the ultimate essential fatty acids. That's what essential means. This is so important. It has so many implications for the ultimate health of the body. It would be impossible to overstate. Essential fatty acids for most folks are deficient. Estimates are as high as 80% of Americans being deficient in essential fatty acids. That means if you're not getting the stuff in the diet, every single cell in your body is going to be operating less than optimally if you're not supplementing with your ultimate essential fatty acids. EFAs are, as I say, a critical component of the cell membrane. They give the cell membrane a certain degree of flexibility so it can move around. They're a key component of the information processing machinery of a cell, the brain of a cell, and the ultimate essential fatty acids act like little oxygen magnets that keep oxygen close by to a cell to allow the cell to incorporate oxygen into its energy-producing machinery. And that means that the ultimate essential fatty acids, part of the Healthy Start Pack, are going to have health benefits for every single system in the body. Every single system in the body. Likewise, or conversely, deficiencies in essential fatty acids, if you're not using your ultimate essential fatty acids, there's not a single system in the body that is not going to suffer, especially the liver, the skin, the heart, and the brain. And while all systems depend on the essential fatty acids, there is no system that is more dependent on EFAs, the ultimate essential fatty acids, than the cardiovascular system, the circulatory system. Studies on the ultimate EFAs on essential fatty acids show them helpful for angina, for chest tightness, for heart palpitations, for thinning of the blood, to reduce clot formation. And the ultimate essential fatty acids also play a very important role in helping cardiac cells, heart cells, maintain their appropriate rhythm. If you're not using enough essential fatty acids, if you're not replacing your essential fatty acids or supplementing with your essential fatty acids, it's very likely that you could be dealing with cardiovascular health issues. The problem with essential fatty acids is they're tremendously unstable. They break down really easily. They break down with just the slightest amount of heat and processing, and this makes getting them from foods really, really difficult, and that's where Youngevity's Ultimate EFAs come in. They're protected in gel capsules, they're easy to use, and they're pretty darn inexpensive considering all the health benefits that you get from the Ultimate Essential Fatty Acids. In my opinion, using Youngevity's Ultimate EFAs can be one of the most important things you could do to protect your heart, to help your skin. If you have eczema or psoriasis or dry skin, if you want to keep your skin moisturized from the inside out, using the Ultimate Essential Fatty Acids can be a great strategy. For brain health, to keep your mind clear, to keep your brain thinking clearly and quick and your memory sharp. They're one of the most important supplements. The Ultimate EFAs are one of the most important supplements you can give an elderly parent or grandparent or anybody you know who's dealing with or worried about dealing with dementia or Alzheimer's disease. And of course, in addition to the EFAs, you want to make sure that you're using your OsteoFX and the Beyond Tangy Tangerine as well. That way, you're going to be sure you get all your Mighty 90 essential nutrients, including the B complex, magnesium, and zinc, which have all of their own brain health benefits. At the end of the day, no matter what your health challenge is, you want to be thinking first about nutrition. Of course, that means, in addition to eating correctly, getting yourself on the Healthy Start Pack, the Mighty 90 Essential Nutrients, and a good nutritional supplement program like the one formulated by Dr. Wallach. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. 831-685-1080 is our priority line number, 888-379-2552, toll free. We're going to take a break and come back. You're listening to the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program on the ZBS Radio Network. Toll free. I'll be sitting in for the next 45 minutes or so, as I always do on the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program with my good friend and colleague and partner, Douglas Winfrey. What's up, Douglas? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. It's good to have you on once again. I found one that came from Fox News, and it's kind of like an editorial that was written by a woman by the name of Cynthia Sass. She is a registered dietitian and a contributing editor for Fox, and she says that for weight loss, she doesn't recommend intermittent fasting. She says 4 reasons not to try intermittent fasting for weight loss. She said it's one strategy that's currently trending, and intermittent fasting, she says she's seen mixed results with it. The first thing that she points out is she said that limiting food intake for 8 hours each day or severely restricting calories a few days a week are two popular fasting approaches. She said both lead to intense cravings, preoccupation with food, and rebound binge eating, particularly for women. And says some who attempted to cut off eating after 4 p.m., intention of not eating until after 8 a.m. They say after a few hours, the lingering thoughts about food or watching other family members eat, they finally just can't take it anymore. Then they wind up raiding the kitchen in the middle of the night and eating far more than they would have. They say others who attempt to eat no more than 500 calories often begin daydreaming on the fasting days about what they're going to eat on the non-fasting days, and then they end up eating all kinds of decadent type foods like baked goods and pizza and chips and ice cream. And they say poor sleep is the second one. Is that it interfered with when she tried to fast, it interfered with her ability to fall asleep and stay asleep, wreaks havoc on your on your energy the next day. Studies have shown that sleep length and quality are strongly associated with weight control. And they also, she says, too little sleep has been shown to increase hunger and up cravings for sweet and fatty foods, reduce desire to eat healthy foods and like veggies. Says fewer nutrients. Says as a nutritionist, one of her biggest pet peeves but with fasting is that she's seen it compromise overall nutrition by limiting the intake of veggies and fruit and even lean protein and healthy fats, which are strongly tied to keeping metabolism revved up and boosting satiety and reducing inflammation, all critical for weight control. Says muscle loss, says not only will you lose weight if you're not eating, but you also start burning muscle tissue after your body burns up its fat reserves. But I've heard you talk about fasting quite a bit, but that's generally not in relationship to weight loss.
Correct. intermittent fasting is unbelievably important for the immune system, and it's important for muscle building. But I'm not so sure it's not also important for weight loss either. I'm not really convinced on, she doesn't say anything, at least the way I heard you explain it, she doesn't say anything about the problems with intermittent fasting. She's talking about the problems with the binge eating that come after the intermittent fasting.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
So if you don't have the binge eating that follows the intermittent fasting, is intermittent fasting still a problem? I don't hear her saying anything about that.
You know what I found interesting, because I've fasted before, and what I found was that the last time I did it for
less you want to eat.
Yeah, I did it for about 30 hours, but I did not stop taking my nutrients, my Beyond Tangy Tangerine and the minerals and the EFAs and the glucogel and everything else that I take on a daily basis. And what I found was the first meal that I ate, I had 2 soft tacos and I was done.
Exactly. In fact, it was almost hard to eat. It was almost hard. Like you looked at the food and there was sort of like a...
Well, it was good. I was ready to eat,
Were you ready to eat?
Yeah, I was ready to eat, but it just, but that's one of the things I found overall is that when
you ate less.
And I do when I keep up with taking the Mighty 90, and I've had plenty of people tell me that, when they eat the nutrients, in fact, a friend of mine, she just started taking the nutrients probably about 6 months ago, and she said, it's like an energy drink. She goes, I find that I don't need any coffee, I don't need any kind of energy boost, and she said, and I don't eat as much.
I wonder sometimes how much of our low energy states, especially first thing in the morning, is really nutritional deficiency. And how many times do we just eat because we're looking just to get some B vitamins or some minerals? That's why
I think
people
that's
lose
true
weight.
for a lot of Americans, is that they don't have that, they're not getting the proper nutrients in their diet, that their body is craving things, so they start binge eating to try to, and they end up with nothing but empty calories.
Well, for many years, for most of our lives, or most of evolution, human beings got nutrition when they got calories. They came hand in hand. Only in the last couple hundred years have we figured out how to separate the two and get a lot of calories without nutrition. And that really is a big problem. All right, we'll finish this up when we come back from our break and take your phone calls as well. 831-685-1080 is our priority line number, and 888-379-2552, 888-379-2552, toll free. I'm Pharmacist Ben, along with Doug in for Dr. Wallach. Today you're listening to the Dead Doctors Don't Lie radio program. We'll be back right after this. I'm Pharmacist Ben, sitting in for Doc today along with Douglas Winfrey. Doug, you still going gluten-free?
Oh, I've been gluten-free for probably about 5 years now.
Let's talk about that.
It's tough. If you don't read labels, you can get into trouble.
Yeah.
And one of the worst places is when you have to travel and you've got to rely on eating in restaurants and things. And you'll ask the wait staff, and they'll go, "I'll go ask the cook." And, I know Doc Wallach actually recommends going back and talking directly to the chef or the cook, because, who knows whether the wait's... Yeah, well, I know Doc would. He'd march right back there and knock people out of the way and go, "Hey, who's in charge back here?" But, if you ask just your waiter or waitress, you don't really know for sure if they actually go ask the chef or if they just go, "Oh, yeah, everything's gluten-free. Don't you worry about it." None.
But you don't even know on the label, right?
You don't know. I mean, I've actually asked if there's a sauce or something that they're putting on part of my meal. I'll ask to see the label of it. And most places nowadays, because it's becoming more and more prevalent, the whole gluten intolerance and gluten-free and celiac disease, that most people are pretty compliant now. In fact, I've even seen menus where it highlights, at the bottom of the menu, it'll say, there's like a little asterisk next to the items that are gluten free, so you can kind of navigate it a little more, closely that way. But generally, what the rule of thumb that I stick to is, if I do have to eat out at a restaurant, is I stick to just having a chunk of meat, hopefully with no rubs or sauces on it, and then veggies. And you could be, and if you have salad, then you got to probably just squeeze some lemon juice on it, because you don't know about the dressing.
You pretty much don't know about anything, even in the stores last August.
What I've found is that at least the stores that I shop in, and I don't shop in, like Whole Foods and some of these, national chain, health foods type stores, just your regular Safeway or someplace like that. And they're actually putting labels on the store shelves now.
Well, the FDA has come to the rescue, too. The FDA is...
Yeah, and in fact, with that new FDA, there's a guideline that the FDA put out about a year ago, and it just went into effect this week on Tuesday.
I was just reading that.
Yeah, and it requires that if you're going to slap the gluten-free label on any of your pre-processed packages, that it truly has to be gluten-free. It has to have less than 20 million parts per million, And most medical experts believe that is a low enough amount that even for people that have celiac disease, which is the most severe condition of a gluten intolerance, that's good enough for them. But it's not really a fast and hard rule. My sister actually knows someone who has to carry an EpiPen with them because if they get exposed to gluten, even just the tiniest amount,
they breathe it probably.
Yeah, she said the guy had a reaction one time because he went into a health food store that had where they were selling bulk flours, and he walked by the aisle where somebody was pouring some in a bag and breathed some of the dust, and boom, there you go. So that I think somebody like that they got to be really hyper vigilant.
Do you know what gluten is? Actually, the stuff?
Yeah, it's a protein.
Yeah, it's a sticky protein, and it gums up the works, basically, and that's really what causes the problem. It's one of those plant defense mechanisms, but there's other things, too, in grains. Best bet, if you eat a food, you feel bad, you feel lousy, you got cramps, you got loose stools, diarrhea, constipation, heartburn, whatever, that's a food you probably don't want to eat, regardless of whether it's gluten gluten-containing or gluten-free. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben, sitting in for Dr. Wallach today. Along with Doug Winfrey, we're going to come back and take your phone calls. 831-685-1080 is our priority line number. 888-379-2552. 888-379-2552. Toll free. You're listening to the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program on the ZBS Radio Network. We're going to take a quick break and come back right after this. Don't go away. Toll free. Time to hit the phones. Who's first on the line? Douglas.
All right, let's head to Independence, Missouri. And Doug, you're on with Pharmacist Ben Fuchs.
Greetings, Doug.
Well, hi, Pharmacist Ben. Good to talk with you.
Same.
Hey, I have a little 3-year-old girl.
Okay.
And last April, she started developing a rash on her face and into her arms and hands and legs.
All right.
Doctors diagnosed it as dermatomyositis.
That's not a diagnosis. That's just a description. She's got a rash.
Okay.
I hope you didn't pay to hear that because all they told you is she's got a rash. Is that funny? You go in there and they tell you, oh, she has a rash, except they say it in Latin, so you think it's a diagnosis. It's not. It's a description. Here's the deal. Anytime you have a rash, and this is not just for kids, it's for anybody. Anytime you have a rash on the body, what you're looking at is the body's defenses, the defensive system that's been activated. Now, assuming that she wasn't rubbing stuff all over her skin, typically when the immune system is activated on the skin, the defensive system is activated on the skin, you're looking at a food problem, a digestive problem. Now, it could be gluten, we just talked about that, but it could be anything really, dairy, eggs, beans, peanuts, soy. There's all kinds of things that can cause seafood. There's all kinds of things that can cause these reactions, although dairy and grains are the most likely suspect, and eggs are the most likely suspect. So what you want to do is you want to look for when the rash flares up, and then you want to backtrack and see what did your child eat an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours before, and keep a kind of running total. Maybe write it down in a little notebook and keep a running tab. And you're going to notice that specific foods are associated with specific flare-ups. In addition to that, it would be a good idea to start using some good nutritional support, especially probiotics, good bacteria. And I would be throwing in some of the Jordan Rubin's Beyond Organic products, which I've been enjoying now for a couple of months. You can get them off the Youngevity website or find your Youngevity rep. And you can use the Amasai, which is a nice kefir-like or yogurt-like beverage, very tasty. If you get the raspberry one, she'll love it. There's another one called Swear V, and then if she eats cheese, she can use the probiotic-enriched cheese as long as she doesn't have a problem with cheese. You might want to consider the BioLumin Nightly Essence, my all-time favorite probiotic supplement, maybe 1 or 2 capsules in the morning, 1 or 2 capsules at night. And then, of course, the Healthy Start Pack is probably a good idea as well. But use much smaller doses, of course, than you would for an adult, just to make sure she's getting her basic nutrients. So look for foods that are triggering it. You want to support the digestive system. Use the probiotic-enriched Amasai and Swear V from Beyond Organics, and then also perhaps the BioLumin Nightly Essence if she can handle the capsules. And then you might also throw in some fermented foods. If she'll do fermented foods, that can always be helpful. Consider it an immune condition and a digestive condition, and this is true for all unexplained rashes that occur on the skin. You don't need a dermatologist or a doctor to tell you that. You can do that on your own. Thanks so much for your call, Doug. Appreciate it. Who is next on the line?
Yeah, you might want to consider putting her on a gluten-free diet as well, because skin rash, can be part of that.
I would absolutely, yes. Link it up to grains and gluten and all of that kind of stuff. Absolutely.
Yep. Let's head to Pennsylvania. And Ann, you are on with Pharmacist Ben Fuchs.
Hey, Ann.
Hi, Ben. I was calling about my 84-year-old mother who weighs 120 pounds. She was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2004.
Okay.
She has postmenopausal bleeding, and her uterus lining is very thick. They want to do a D&C. And,
are you kidding me? Are you kidding
No.
me? Oh,
no, and for her, with the Alzheimer's, even minor surgery,
of course,
not a good thing.
Of course. Hang tight. We got to take a break, okay, Diane? We'll finish this when we come back from our break. That's terrible. A D&C on an 84-year-old woman. I'm telling you. All right. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program. 831-685-1080 is our priority line number. 888-379-2552. Toll free. We'll be back with more of your phone calls right after this on the Dead Doctors Don't Lie show. Don't go away. All right, we're back on the Dead Doctors Don't Lie show. 831-685-1080 is our priority line number. 888-379-2552. Toll free. Got some lines open for you. We're talking to Diane. Diane, you there, ma'am? Diane? Was it Diane?
Ann.
Oh, Ann. I'm sorry. Okay.
Ann.
Where are you calling
Ann from Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Whereabouts in Pennsylvania?
Washington.
Washington, Pennsylvania. I don't know where that is.
Southwestern corner, not far from Pittsburgh.
Okay, nice. All right, so they want to give your 84-year-old mom a D&C, a dilation and curettage, as they say, where they dilate the uterus and then scrape the endometrial lining. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Your mom has Alzheimer's disease, and she's also got some postmenopausal bleeding. And one of the more common causes of postmenopausal bleeding is problems with your blood sugar. And one of the more problem causes of Alzheimer's disease is problems with your sugar. So I'm guessing your mom has problems with her blood sugar. And that's not unusual. Not unusual for an 84-year-old woman. It's not unusual for anybody, but as we get older, that tends to happen. Is she on anything like insulin or has she been told she's a diabetic or anything like that?
No.
Okay, well, that's where you want to focus. So what are you going to do? Well, first of all, you want to reduce her intake of her favorite foods. I'm sure she loves, like we all do, bread and pasta and rice and potatoes and cakes and desserts and fruit juice, etc. So you want to reduce her intake of those foods, and at the same time, you want to up her intake of the mighty 90 essential nutrients, especially protein. The more protein you put in her body, the less likely she's going to be to want to munch on the snacky, blood sugar raising, insulin spiking kinds of foods. So once you get that blood sugar under control, you're going to notice a couple things. First, you're going to notice that she's thinking more clearly. And secondly, you're going to notice that her bleeding issues are starting to slow down. I would definitely not advise any kind of surgical procedures for an 84-year-old woman. In addition to the mighty 90 essential nutrients, having her sip on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, it wouldn't be a bad idea to get her on the Sweeties, as well as the Z-Radical. We don't talk a lot about the Z-Radical as it regards blood sugar, but it will have some very wonderful blood sugar stabilizing effects. So once you start to restrict your intake or lower her intake of the insulin spiking foods, the sweet kinds of foods that everybody loves so much, and you get her into more protein and the ultimate essential fatty acids and the mighty 90 essential nutrients and the Sweeties and the Z-Radical, you're going to notice a dramatic, and I mean dramatic, improvement in the Alzheimer's disease, and you probably notice a pretty good difference in her bleeding issues as well. Focus on blood sugar is where I would go first and foremost. Not an unusual recommendation because we're all dealing with these kinds of problems, but especially older folks. Okay?
Poor thing. She has high blood pressure.
Same
and it's getting better because I have her on the Tangy Tangerine. But is it okay for her to take Ultimate daily if she's taking Lotrel?
Oh, yes. Heck yes. Absolutely. It'll help her medicine work better. And also, the high blood pressure is connected to the blood sugar issue. So that just confirms what I was thinking. High blood pressure is linked. High blood pressure, hypertension goes hand in hand with elevated blood sugar and insulin resistance. So that just confirms what I was saying. Focus on the blood sugar, use the Sweeties and the Healthy Start Pack, and wean her off of the blood sugar spiking foods. You should notice a significant difference. Thanks so much for your call, Ann, from Washington, Pennsylvania. Hope we helped you out. Who's next on the line, Doug?
All right, let's head to Texas. And Mary, you're on with Pharmacist Ben Fuchs.
Hey, Mary.
Hello there, Pharmacist Ben Fuchs. I've got a 71-year-old man with diagnosed polymyalgia rheumatica. 3 years ago. He's 186 pounds, and he's on prednisone, methotrexate.
Oh, my God. Well, you're trying to break my heart here. You're trying to make me sad. That's terrible. He's 71, and they put... Go ahead.
The doctors lowered his prednisone in May.
How kind of them.
to 5 milligrams, and after 3 weeks on 5 milligrams, he had a severe attack that he felt like killing himself.
Okay, well, here's the deal. So, doctors love this Latin thing where they just they give you this Latin thing, and when we all think we have some kind of Latin disease. No, you don't. Polymyalgia just means you got lots of pain. Polymyalgia rheumatica means you've got lots of pain, and it's associated with the immune system. Period. End of story. So you might as well, can you imagine going to the doctor and he says, you go in and you say, I'm feeling all achy and I got all this pain and I just feel terrible, doc. And the doctor looks at you and says, yes, you have lots of pain caused by the immune system. That'll be $200, please, and here's some prednisone. You think he was crazy, but that's what he does, except he does it in Latin. He says polymyalgia rheumatica. It means you got lots of pain, period. All right, so let's deal with the pain associated with the immune system. The immune system is the defense system. When you have pain caused by a defensive response, that means we got to figure out what the offending agent is. It's as simple as that. Does that make sense so far, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, so we want to figure out what's getting into his body that's awakening or alerting the immune system, the defense system, and almost always you're going to see that it's related to food. So what we want to do is, number one, when his polymyalgia rheumatica, when his pain spikes, when it flares up, we want to link that to specific foods. So every time it spikes or flares up, he wants to write that down in a book and write down what he ate an hour before, 2 hours before, 4 hours before, 6 hours before, until he creates this long list of foods that are associated with the pain. And you can also work with digestive symptoms like diarrhea or constipation or heartburn or bloating, and you can do the same thing. Every time you have heartburn, every time you have bloating, link it to a food, and you're going to notice there are foods that are associated with digestive problems, and they're probably the same foods that are associated with this spike in pain in polymyalgia rheumatica, as your doctor calls it. So that's the first step, is link the symptoms to specific foods, then eliminate those foods. Then you're going to want to start to do all the digestive support strategies that we just talked about, especially the Z-Radical, which can help coat and soothe the digestive system. The Biolumin Nightly Essence, I'd be using 3 capsules in the morning, 3 capsules at night. The Healthy Start Pack goes without saying to use the Healthy Start Pack. That's always the foundation. That's your Mighty 90 essential nutrients for no matter what the heck you're dealing with. And then probably the Ultimate Enzymes after meals with a little swig of apple cider vinegar wouldn't hurt to do that too. So Healthy Start Pack, Biolumin Nightly Essence, Ultimate Enzymes with a little bit of apple cider vinegar after all of his meals, and then link his problems up to specific foods. If you want to add one more thing, go on the Youngevity website or talk to your Youngevity rep and look into the Beyond Organic probiotic enriched products, including the Suero V and the Amasai, 2 of my favorites, and I like the cheese as well. Those are my 3 favorite Beyond Organic products. So long story short, focus on what's getting into the body. That means food, and then patching up the digestive tract. Hope we helped you out there. Thank you so much for your call from Texas, and let's see if we can get one more in before our break, Doug.
All right, let's head to California. And Tara, you're on with Pharmacist Ben Fuchs.
Hey, Tara.
Hi.
What's going on?
I am on my 2nd baby, and with my first and now this one, I've been having recurring yeast infections.
Okay.
I know it's pretty prominent with pregnant women.
Are you pregnant, or you had the baby already?
I'm pregnant right now.
Okay, let's talk about yeast infections. You're talking about vaginal yeast infections or internal systemic yeast infections?
Vaginal.
Okay, so here's the deal. It's basically the same thing. What you want to be doing is you want to be focusing on bacteria. Bacteria and yeast and fungus live in balance in the body. And actually, believe it or not, there's actually viruses in the body that live in balance with yeast and with bacteria. The main source of bacteria, the main home for bacteria is, of course, the digestive system. You got some bacteria in your skin and probably have a little bit in your respiratory tract as well, but mostly it's in your intestine. And when these bacteria get out of whack or out of proportion or out of balance, or something conspires to kill them off, and changes in hormones can certainly do it, female hormones like estrogen and progesterone, which occur when you're having a baby, then these changes in the gut bacteria can cause yeast to overgrow. So first and foremost, you got to focus on these good bacteria. Get on the Biolumin Nightly Essence and also the probiotics, probiotic-enriched products from Beyond Organics. That's step number 1. If you have any issues with your digestive system, you want to correct those. That would be step number 2. And then third, you want to help your body process estrogen. A lot of the problems that are associated with with high levels of estrogen, such as occur when you're pregnant, is not so much the estrogen as it is the processing of estrogen, the breakdown products of estrogen. Estrogen is broken down into some pretty heavy-duty chemicals, and if you're not clearing out your estrogen effectively, you can run into some problems. Estrogen is cleared out of the body through bile, so making sure that you're using your ultimate enzymes and making sure that you're not eating any foods that mess up your digestive system, that's always important. And then you could use minerals like magnesium and zinc and also vitamin A. All of these are in the Healthy Start Pack, and they can help your body process estrogen a little bit more effectively. If you have any liver issues, then you got to correct those. And blood sugar problems, which are very common in pregnant women, can affect the liver, and that can affect how you process estrogen as well. So you might want to throw in the sweeties also, in addition to, of course, the Healthy Start Pack. And congratulations. Good luck with your baby. I hope we helped you out. And that's, we got to take a break. And we will come back on the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program right after this. 831-685-1080 is our priority line number, your priority line number, 888-379-2552, toll free. I'm Pharmacist Ben, along with Doug Winfrey sitting in for Doc today. We'll be back right after this.
Let's head to Florida. And Helen, you're on with Pharmacist Ben Fuchs.
Good afternoon, Pharmacist Ben.
Hey, what's going on, Helen?
Yeah, well, I suffered a stroke, and I have high blood pressure.
Okay.
I'm a diabetic.
We got to take care of you. We got to fix you up, okay? We're going to fix you right up. Get yourself, if you're not already, get on that Healthy Start Pack?
Yes.
All right. You're sipping on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Make sure you sip on it now. You don't want to do it all at once. You want to sip.
Okay, I've been just doing it all in one, so
no.
I know. Okay.
Sip on it slowly throughout the day, and you want to make sure that you're using a couple of after stroke. You want to make sure you're using a couple of those scoops every day, but don't do it all at once. Put it in a water bottle, or maybe a couple of water bottles, and sip on it all day long.
Okay.
Probably want to start focusing on the blood sugar as well. Now, that may have been the cause of the stroke in the first place. If you're not on the sweeties, get on the sweeties. Do it right away. And you know what? We don't ever talk about how important good bacteria and probiotics are for diabetes, but they really, really are for helping stabilize blood sugar. So making sure that you're correcting digestive issues, number one, but also making sure that you're using good probiotics like the Beyond Organic products, the Amasai and the Swear V, and also the BioLumin Nightly Essence. There's a very important and underappreciated connection between bile, the liver, the digestive system, good bacteria, and the heart and the circulatory system. And we never focus on that, but it's really important. It just goes to show you at the core of all of our health crisis, you're always going to find some kind of digestive issue, and you're always going to find some kind of blood sugar issue, and it's something we're all dealing with, Helen. It's not just you. Digestive system and blood sugar system, no matter what your health challenge is. And then one of the best ways to do that, of course, is to make sure that you're using the Mighty 90 essential nutrients in addition to the Beyond Organic probiotic products, the BioLumin Nightly Essence, and, the Z Radical. That's always important for the digestive system to coat and soothe the intestine. So a Healthy Start Pack, sweeties, digestive support, BioLumin Nightly Essence, the Z Radical, and make sure you're sipping on that Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Thanks for your call, and God bless you, Helen. I hope everything works out. All right, see if we can get one more in, Doug. What do you say?
Yeah, let's head to St. Louis, Missouri. And Gary, you're on with Pharmacist Ben Fuchs.
Hey, Gary.
Hey, Dr. Ben. Two questions quickly, and I know you're running out of time. I was using Ultimate Classic, a product from Youngevity, for a long, long time. I tried to reorder it recently. It's been discontinued. So one question is, what should I order to replace that?
The BTT, my all-time favorite nutritional supplement. I've been formulating supplements for a long time. And let me tell you something. There is nothing that's more packed, more powerful, more economical, and tasty than the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. And I'm pretty sure, and Doug, correct me on this, the Ultimate Classic, they replaced it with the BTT, no? Isn't that that's designed
no, the BTT came along. That was actually a replacement for the Tangy Tangerine product.
Right, but is the Ultimate, they took the...
I was unaware that had happened. I'll have to check into that because I just ordered some about probably 4 months ago.
Are you positive about that?
I misspoke.
Okay.
I misspoke. I said Ultimate Classic had been discontinued. I meant Resolution.
Ah, okay. Well, that's a little bit different. What were you taking?
Yeah, fat blocker.
Okay, you're taking it for fat blocker. No, I don't know of a replacement for that. I don't
How
think
about the ASAP product?
You can use the ASAP, but that's not going to really block fat as much. That's more for a diet aid. I don't know how you would replace the Resolution. You're sure they discontinued it?
Well, that's what I was told. It wasn't in the inventory when I called to place an order.
I don't know. I can't tell you about a replacement for that. Although it's for you or for a client.
For me.
Yeah, if you're
used it
trying
forever.
to, you have used it forever. It's helped you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, then I don't know what to tell you on that one. I can tell you one of the best ways to lose weight, as opposed to losing fat, as opposed to losing muscle and just losing fat and losing body fat, that is to get yourself on an all-around nutritional supplement program. It sounds like you're already doing that. Have you worked on digestive support strategies, the Z-Radical and the Biolumin Nightly Essence? Bacteria, fat metabolism and fat processing and fat absorption are also dependent on probiotics and good bacteria. As we were saying earlier, how probiotics are involved in so many different things in the body, including the heart and the circulatory system. Well, they're also involved in how the body processes fat, and for women, how the body processes estrogen. Just another reason to make sure that you're using your Biolumin Nightly Essence, you're using digestive support, and now using the Beyond Organic products from Jordan Rubin, the Amasai and the Swear of Thee, and the probiotic-enriched cheese, which I personally love. All right, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks so much for listening, folks. For Doug Winfrey and Dr. Wallach and all the folks at the ZBS Radio Network, I'm Pharmacist Ben. Have yourselves a spectacular, wonderful, beautiful day. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye for now.